CNBC Africa presents Capital Markets, the show that brings the JSE to you. Capital Markets is the show for those of you who've considered investing in the past but haven't been sure how to. It's your step-by-step guide to the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. And now, joining us from our studios at the JSE in Sandton, Johannesburg, it's your host, David Williams.
Are you one of those people who's always wanted to invest in shares on the JSE but has been too intimidated by the numbers? Or possibly you're just looking to dabble but are terrified that you need huge amounts of cash in order to do so? Well, I'm here today with our new show, Capital Markets, and we're going to dispel some of those myths that may have been preventing you from discovering a world of investment opportunity on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. This is the show that's going to take you, the viewer, behind the numbers of the JSE and simplify the art of investing. Before we start though, you do need to know a few facts about just what the JSE is. It's important to always do your research before you make any form of financial commitment. In this instance, I'm going to do that research for you. The Johannesburg Stock Exchange, or JSE, offers secure, efficient primary and secondary capital markets across a diverse range of securities. Now, these are supported by their post-trade and regulatory services, making it the market of choice for local and international investors looking to gain exposure to the leading capital markets in both South Africa and the rest of the African continent. The JSE is also currently ranked as the 19th largest stock exchange in the world by market capitalization, and it's the largest exchange on the African continent. This is a feather in the JSE's cap, considering the sheer size of the African market as a whole. The JSE was formed in 1887 during the first South African gold rush, which is exactly where Egoli, the place of gold, inherited its nickname. Following the first legislation covering financial markets in 1947, the JSE joined the World Federation of Exchanges in 1963. It upgraded to an electronic trading system in the early 1990s. The bourse demutualized and listed on its own exchange in 2005. In its simplest terms, through demutualization, a stock exchange becomes a corporate entity with its own objectives. Essentially, it transforms from being a non-profit organization and becomes a profit-making company, like any other corporate entity. In 2003, the JSE launched an alternative exchange, Altex, for small and mid-sized listings, followed by the YieldX for interest rate and currency instruments. The JSE then acquired the South African Futures Exchange, SAFEX, in 2001, and the Bond Exchange of South Africa, BISA, in 2009. Today, it's offering 5 financial markets, namely equities and bonds, as well as financial, commodity, and interest rate derivatives. Now, if you're already feeling intimidated by all the financial terminology we've thrown at you, relax. We'll get into each and every term in future episodes. This is just an overview. Now, if you're a casual viewer who's just tuned in, I hear you asking, what is the point of the JSE? And what's it got to do with me? Well, it's far more than a landmark, more than a forum for trading in stocks, bonds and shares. The JSE stands tall as the engine room of the South African economy. Here, companies from across the spectrum of industry and commerce gather to raise the public capital that will allow them to expand, in the process creating new jobs, products, services and opportunities. As their profits improve, dividends are passed on to their shareholders in a cycle of economic empowerment that reflects the stability and well-being of a nation. Great, but what do these ups and downs of market prices have to do with the everyday, ordinary South African? More than you might think. If you own an insurance policy, a retirement annuity, a unit trust, or even a simple savings account, the JSE is where much of your money goes to make more money for you. Directly or indirectly, the movements of the market matter to millions of South Africans. And that's why more and more South Africans are choosing the direct route to the market by investing on the JSE. In order to do this, you need shares. Shares are unit ownership in a company. When a share is purchased, the buyer becomes a part owner, shareholder of the company. And when you're a shareholder, you have a right to vote at shareholder annual meetings on matters concerning the company. And you'll also be eligible for a dividend if that's declared by the directors, and get company information in the form of circulars, announcements, and so on. Now, if all this sounds way beyond your means and incredibly expensive, you stand corrected. It's not at all. While the nature of the market dictates that prices will vary from company to company and day to day, there's nothing to prevent the smaller investor from staking a claim to a share of a public company. Member firms operate at their own discretion, and some choose to deal only with institutions or larger investors. But you should have no trouble finding a member firm which is prepared to take on a client with as little as 5,000 Rand to spare. The formula: start small, invest wisely, and stay the distance. And who knows, one day, thanks to the JSE, you too could be a high net worth individual. Like any investments though, there are certain risks involved. These risks are something that every prospective investor should pause to consider. Despite the JSE's proven rate of inflation-beating returns in the long term, it's important to remember that companies can fail, markets can collapse, and prices can plummet, as well as soar. And as a casual investor, your best defense against the shifting tides of fortune is a combination of prudence, patience, and planning. The 3 Ps. Remember them. Tattoo them on a body part if necessary.
Hi.
Hi there.
My name is Clement.
Hi Clement, I'm Jason.
Hi. Good meeting you.
You too.
So normally this would take a couple of hours, but I think we've been limited to 5 minutes.
I want a profile of like the investor that you are.
I'm a soccer player. I play for a Premier Soccer League.
The only thing I know about football is that it's on TV.
So what's your investment goal?
I would like to retire comfortably.
So your income?
100,000 Rand per month.
100,000, that's great, eh?
But you receive a flat rate monthly?
Yes.
Okay.
If you're earning 100,000 Rand a month, how do you only have 14,000 in your bank account? Where does the rest go? Would you be willing to cut down on your lifestyle in order to secure your financial future?
Absolutely.
You
yes.
would?
Yeah.
Okay.
You just know that that your investment's in good hands and that we've foreseen the volatility to an extent.
Hopefully I won't lose your money, but then I'm sure that I wouldn't.
After all is said and done, in terms of your investments, what do you want to achieve?
Before you venture into the market, take careful stock of your means and motives. Do you want to invest for your own retirement? For your children's education? For a holiday to Mauritius? Is income a priority, or are you looking for long-term capital growth? Then take another honest look at your personal risk profile. How much can you safely afford to lose in the event of a stock market crash or correction, which of course is always the worst scenario? How long will you be prepared to wait for the market to stabilize? And will you have the courage and foresight to continue investing when prices are at their lowest ebb? Answer all these questions honestly, and this will reveal the extent of your capacity to balance risk with reward. Either way, the golden rule is to invest only as much as you can comfortably afford after meeting your personal and household expenses. You use this disposable income to build yourself a choice portfolio of stocks, and you could have a lot more income to dispose of once those dividend checks start arriving. Next time on Capital Markets, we'll be taking a look at how to actually purchase a share on the JSE and the costs involved. Only on CNBC Africa, bringing the JSE to you.